Yeah, also it lets me see what the WAVs look like to begin with. So that's my levels. Let's hear Dwayne's levels, or rather see them.
Let's have a look. Target one spell/trap card on the field, destroy it. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one face-up spell/trap card on the field, destroy it. You can only
Yeah,
use the effect of Galaxy
that's
Cyclone once per turn.
yeah, not that great use because you looked down to read something and that your mouth was suddenly closer to the microphone than it is
I
going
should
to
have
be.
held it like this in front of the camera so you
Yes.
wouldn't know what card I'm playing. You're quite right. Apologies.
Niall.
Looking at a picture here from the Street Fighter live action film, which Bison holds up as well, Julia, and I don't know if it says John Wayne Gacy as Bison or a painting by John Wayne Gacy of Bison. That is the dilemma here.
Yes, I saw that clip as well. And now we check YouTube's got the sound. Okay, I can hear Niall, so that's working. Hit the go live button. Should have got the script before I hit the go live button. That's okay.
Yeah, I got the titles here as well.
Fly by the seat of our pants. You are listening to Let's Go JoJo, the weekly JoJo's Bizarre Adventure podcast about weekly anime from Dynamite in the Brain and Secret of the Sailor Madness. So come along and hang with the Let's Go gang. It's Dwayne.
Hello.
It's Niall.
How are you?
And it's me, Brian. And on this episode, we are covering the anime that aired the week of the 7th of January to the 13th of January 2023, with a whole load of exceptions. The first one is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 6, Stone Ocean, Episode 29, Underworld.
Still pretending it comes out week to week because it's fun.
Yes, that is correct. Also gives you a cliffhanger. What's going to happen next? Well,
Yes, thrill.
our ladies are still stuck on the memory of a crashed aeroplane. It's the memory of the Earth, isn't it? It's the Earth's memory.
Yeah.
Because when you crash into the Earth in an airplane, you still die in the Earth, which means I can resurrect your ghost for the purpose of trapping you in that memory of the plane crash. That's how my power works. Don't question it. My name is Versus. I've had a very rough life. As we find out this episode.
This piece of shit priest comes here, tells me what to do.
Two things that made me laugh very hard in this. One was Jolene ringing up the kid and explaining everything that's happening, and it's just like, that makes no fucking sense, like trying to describe this show to someone who's not watching it. But two was Poochie backseat, like stand fighting for Versus, and it's just like, hey, you think you got her there, yeah? You think you have to think of it. Yeah, and he's like, no, I don't know about that. And he's like, shut the fuck up. I'm doing really well. This is my first time and I haven't lost nothing. I've got 0 losses. Yes. I'm doing great.
It does come across that Pooch is a bigger fan of Jolene than he is Versus.
We've seen what she can do, so yeah.
It's like a fun. Smith is interesting, you know. I really want to like savor it now. I want to make sure I've overcome you at your best, you know. This is why slowing you down, you know. I'm going to kill in time until the moon launch.
Yeah, so while he's venting this, while they're looking at the plane, I think is it while Jolene's doing her thing where she's leaping out the plane, and so he has to bring another plane's memory. And
he's distracted by Jolene opening the emergency exit and jumping out of the plane. Grab my string, and the string like immediately breaks. But she accidentally for her, on purpose by Versus, he summons in a fighter jet that also crashed and burned.
I think it happened to be that the cause of this initial accident was these planes colliding. So this is the other plane that was involved. As you know, I want to make the most complicated, like chaotic accident possible from here. This is probably, this is like giving some good odds.
So Poochie's distracted by looking at Jolene jumping from a commercial jet to a fighter jet.
Yeah, and that's where we get Versus's flashback, at the end of which, it's essentially just a hard knock life this kid has had. Just wandering into one sort of problem. He gets arrested for stealing a pair of signed baseball shoes that fell onto him.
Which fell onto him, and later the fucking guy was caught, but he was already mad at life and reality and shit, because on the inside of Juvie, a guy who looked like a grown man got really mad at him for him tripping and falling onto his hidden knife.
Yes.
Which got infected, and then a worm came out of it, and it and my foster father never really loved me anyway. And my favorite was one time I took a piss behind a bin, and it revealed the skull of a woman embedded in the wall, and I was just like, yeah, that would suck if that happened to you, because You got no one to blame
Stepped
for
on
that.
some Lego, or and then the same day an upturned plug. Like two of the worst things you can get, possibly getting your foot. They got on both the same day,
On the same
twice.
foot.
So while Poochie's looking at the plane, Versus brings out a memory of Poochie, and from the memory of Poochie steals the disc of Weather Report's memory, which I assume if you do something to the memory of somebody, it also happens to them, because Poochie does not have the memory at the end of the episode.
I think it's a weird thing of he could steal the disc from Poochie's memory, because the disc is like a stand power, I guess, is the thing.
Yes, and it's a memory
because you don't seem to be able to affect the memory of something.
It
but
exists outside of time and space, perhaps.
Poochie did die at one point because we did see him get eaten by a baby, but he's still fine now because it's weird stand powers. So yeah, so he stole the disc from the version of Poochie before he was eaten by a baby. Even though that steals the disc from the current version of him, yeah.
Or just he had it in his jacket pocket right there, so it was like the memory of Poochie who was here 5 minutes ago. Yep, same old condescending priest. I'll have that, thank you. I guess there's some weird law of causality here then that affects this particular stand. Well, that means that if things play out, that affect reality, even in the past, they're going to play out as expected. So, good news. I looked up on my ghost computer. By the way, I got a ghost computer. I'm just kind of sitting out here in the middle of the road. Just kind of, I got a little drink. I'm just kind of searching the internet for something about this crash. And there were 2 survivors. So you just gotta find those 2 seats and sit in them, and you'll survive this accident.
Yeah, I get never explained up to this point that wasn't a computer in his ghost room. That was a ghost computer that he can pull out at any time, including on the footpath here. It's just, and no one's questioning the small child looking up stuff on the internet on a footpath.
And a pretty big laptop he's got there.
Travel size.
Yeah, because everything has to happen at the same time. It happened in the memory. Jolene crashes the jet fighter into the other plane early so she can get back onto the plane.
It won't explode until 1933 or whenever the plane exploded. Yeah.
Emporio finds that there was 2 survivors, so all you got to do is get to those chairs and sit in them. So they're racing the underworld stand to those chairs, but when they get there, they discover the chairs are now occupied by 2 incredibly sickly children, and just to rub it in, Versus drops a 3rd one into the chair as well.
Initially, they're occupied by the memories of the passengers who survived, but they just kick them out and goes like, "You guys are just memories. It doesn't matter if you die." But these sickly children that he's kidnapped from the hospital, those are actual children. Not
that's a troubling implication then, because if you can steal like a stand disc from yourself in the past and it affects from the present, does that mean those like 2 people score about their day now and from they just go up immediately in flames?
I think they're probably fine because they canonically did survive, and they canonically survived this. So yeah, they're probably fine.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Particularly because of what they do to them. Their memories later on in the episode. Because Versus is now like,
again, Versus is like, I totally got him, Poochie. Look at this fucking shit. Even if she fucking survives, she's going to feel so bad because she sacrificed 3 children. I didn't even need to put in 3 children. I could have just used 2. But she's have to sacrifice 3 children. That'll be easy for my stand to beat the shit out of her because she'll feel really bad about it. Yeah. I'm brilliant. I'm a genius. I'm a tactical genius.
But yes, so the plane crash happens, but then one of the survivors wanders towards them, and they notice, hang on a second, that survivor's got one of Hermes' stickers on him. And then it turns out there's 2 of him. They shoved the 3rd child in between the 2 doubles, the double and the real memory of the old man, so he'd survive. The other 2 children,
both of the copies of him have to survive canonically.
Shield pod. But Jolene's not here. Ash must have made a heroic sacrifice, I suppose.
Yes, because the other survivor has Hermes inside her, and then they're like, "Where's Jolene? Where's Jolene?" And then you see the string coming out of Hermes' mouth, as Hermes had apparently slurped Jolene up like spaghetti in order to make her survive.
Jolene turned herself entirely into string and is now reforming herself, and has caught you Versus by the foot. Is currently beating the shit out of you and strings you up.
Yeah.
So it's like, and Poochie's just like, you fucked that one up, Versus. You really It's like, shut the fuck up, you stupid fucking priest.
Come on, she's hitting the peak of her ability right fucking now. This is unfair.
Yeah, Hermes is like, I'm gonna go punch the priest. Do you want to join me, Jolene?
You want a piece of this priest, or you want to just concentrate on this motherfucker for now? Like, yeah.
Let's get him.
But Versus has one last trick up his sleeve, and that is to send his stand out into the outside world with Weather Report's memories and slot it into him 3 days earlier than Poochie planned, because he's like, that guy, Weather Report, he's not your friend. He's a terribly powerful person that Poochie has taken his memory away because he's too dangerous if he knows how to use his powers properly.
He doesn't even understand how his powers work. He thinks it's weather control. It's like, no.
That's only like, like another bit. That's the kind of simplistic thing. The actual power is something that's like fucking the logic that kind of brought that to it now. The amount of fucking like magazines he read in the dentist waiting room to think that would be a good idea for a power. My God, I just like this fucking leaps a logic to get to this stage. I can see where you're coming from, but that's still pretty weird. And you will find out how weird that is next time.
Yeah, rainbows start pouring into the hole, and Versus is like, those are the rainbows of evil. And then we see that Weather Report's personality has turned into a jerk.
It's a very good episode. I think again, I was kind of thinking, it was like, there's not really much left in this, and they were kind of introducing these guys very late game, and there's still loads of really fun ideas and wild fucking happenings happening. Yeah, really good to see.
You gotta have some goons to mow down, at least have one goon mown down per episode or per encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like Versus not just going along with Poochie's plan like the other two did.
Versus thinking is like, wait, if I take out Poochie, can I inherit Dio's power? Like, I got the fucking thing. Like, he's my dad, so I think I can.
Poochie's mad. He's like, me and Dio worked really hard for that power. You can't just go and take it. Like messing everything up. So that's JoJo. Then we've got Lupin Zero, Episode 3, The Grandson of the First Vies for Succession. I'm trying to remember if this is what... I feel like this is based on an actual strip that I've got, but I'd have to go and find which box I've put it in.
Again, the thing about the show is it does, premise aside, it does feel like Lupin. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this was or wasn't a thing, because it was just like, this feels very right.
Or an idea they visited like a few times. No, not necessarily the Lupin the Club, and his Jigen or Goemon. They got to like work with these other hitmen or crooks as well. But only he's the only honorable one there.
Yeah, it was specifically the contest for me to steal your heart. Element of it is the bit which struck true. But yes, hey, who's in this episode though? We've got Little Albert. And dresses like Little Lord Fauntleroy when he was a child.
Little Al!
Got Granddad Lupin first. This on a bed with all the naked ladies, so I had to find a different seat at work, so I'm going back to a wall.
It opens with Lupin meeting up with the singer from the first episode. Yeah, and she's up to no good, and she assumes that these thugs have come to do something to her, but no, they've come to not really kidnap Lupin, come on, you gotta go see your grandpa. And he's like, all right, I'll go see the old man, who wants to go hey, who's gonna get my inheritance? Is it gonna be you? Is it gonna be Robin Hood? Is it gonna be this lady with massive tits? Is it gonna be Albert?
Yes.
Who knows?
Also in the nightclub, we see there's a white-haired woman in the back watching all this go on. Yes, is it Marion Hood, the 16th heir of the world's strongest bandit, Robin Hood, and Poulan is the woman who's very jiggly, as Lupin notes.
He is a teenager, so yeah.
Yes, but general conclusion though is that adults are scum, parents are scum. Should not be trusted.
Pretty sure Al is scum as well, because he's like this shitty little kid who's just like, I've already learned all the tricks that your grandpa taught you at your age now. And he's like, yeah, but you're way younger than me. He's like, well, I have a pogo stick as well, and I'm willing to use it.
So yeah, they've got to find the way to the treasure, but yes, it's all just a trick, because as soon as they've gone, some surgeons come in ready to prep Lupin the First. And that was the point. When the surgeons came in, I was like, oh, I think I remember this now. Yeah, he's trying to find the healthiest thief in order to steal their heart. And they've
Yeah.
all signed a contract agreeing to this. And then the punchline at the end is that everyone apart from Lupin, because he knew it was a trick. So the contract has loads of words written on, but most
Basically,
of the
like
words
I
fall
will
away.
inherit
Yes.
Lupin the First's
Yeah.
estate, and all the other words fall aside. It's like I will give my heart to Lupin the First if I die. Is
Yes.
basically what it
Yeah.
says instead.
And then poor lad who'd helped Lupin the most throughout, turns out Lupin finds her tied to a tree on the way out. And is like, hang on a second. If you're here, who was that over there? And then we see it is his father, Lupin the
Lupin
Second.
2. With the silver-haired lady from nightclub who was obviously casing him out.
Yeah.
Looks like my boy needs my help after all. Yick, yick, yick.
What's especially weird is that his dad dressed as a boobily lady to distract and help his son. It's like, why did you have to like cause sexual awakenings in your son as well? That's weird. Don't do that.
Gotta make him a man. That was some talk, like, I mean, because she like whipped off the fun pantaloons to use as to disperse smoke to figure out what the laser traps were. But he got it right up there. He practiced this. Drag artist for sure. Yeah, it was like a kind of, because it felt very like this old fashioned. No, it got like an old fashioned like look to it or all like that. But this felt like real like old style caper. And yeah, you just kind of, I mean, you don't really kind of get too much about Lupin 2. Obviously you got Arsène Lupin, we got like loads of books about him. We got Lupin the Third and all that. But Lupin 2, what's going to happen with him? He's a little bit of an enigma.
Like he obviously wants to help his son, but obviously also doesn't want his son to be a thief. It seems so. Yeah.
But he's voiced by Toshio Furukawa, so he's going to be a bit of a shithead.
Yes.
Maybe he's got a heart of gold, like Ratman or Piccolo.
I feel like what I remember him from the comics is he's a shithead, which is the phrase they do use in the subtitles to describe adults. The other thing I really like about it is because it feels like part of the thing it's doing for me is like, oh yeah, maybe you could just make Lupin stuff and you don't have to keep the same cast all the time. Maybe you can switch it up a bit more regularly. The other thing is, the soundtrack definitely feels like we're moving away from the Yuji Ono era of Lupin soundtracks, which is obviously going to be a necessity at some point.
Yep.
And I'm really enjoying the soundtrack to this as well because it sounds Lupin, but it also sounds like something new for Lupin as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds right, but it's a good like middle ground between what it will become because it's a prequel kind of thing. It's the same way like Lupin kind of moves with a wild, wacky confidence, but he ends up like fucking up a little, like he lands on his tailbone, that kind of thing. So it's kind of like an unrefined version of that in the same way the animation is. Yeah.
Well, a lot of what they're doing is like they're lifting a lot of motifs from the very, very first series of it. So you're kind of getting that Lupin soundtrack at its most kind of like raw and malleable. So now you go back to that and you kind of listen to that, you're putting your thing in it and taking bits from it. So it's going like developing and so this does sound a lot like it because they're gripping from it from the back catalogue. But it'll kind of become more their own thing when they get another like next Lupin. What are we on now? Part 7, I suppose. If you get something like that. Or whatever the next project was going to be.
Well, the next thing is that CG monstrosity that's coming shortly.
Oh, yeah.
With Cat's Eye, yeah.
Oh, I can ruin 2 of them at once.
Well, we got this one at least, huh?
Like Cat's Eye were back. They had a little cameo in the last City Hunter film, and it was like, oh, they play the old music, and it was great. I think the City Hunter movies just was an excuse to play all the old music anyway, but it works. It works. They deserve better.
Lupin gets to play detective as well at some point, because the final bit is each one of them's given one item to get to the final treasure. There's a gun,
and you have to figure out who has the other item, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think this is my favorite of the 3 episodes so far because it feels like the most pure Lupin.
Like you could have put adult Lupin into this situation potentially.
Yeah, I didn't even factor in there could be like Lupin 2 on the scene. You didn't think when he would be involved. I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I was surprised to see Albert there because I was like, oh, maybe they're not going to tie into the TV continuity. I was like, oh, here's little Al and his little Lord Fauntleroy suit, and the fact that he's using gadgets, and there's another line which felt like that's a sign of the adult version of him. I can't remember what line it was now, but yeah, it felt like the character we known from the last two TV series as well.
It was something about, I think I know what you're saying. It was something about the way he judged other people as a
Yeah.
child is similar to how he does it as an adult, as part of the French CIA or whatever the fuck they're called. I've forgotten again.
Yeah, he kind of got it was something was like indicated like it wasn't necessarily a thief was his destiny. It was like maybe there's something else he was destined for. Then we've got, as I look at the right one, Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun, Season 3, Episode 13, My Very Own Magic. We don't catch up with Lead until the end of the episode, because most of this episode is catching up, I guess, for people who missed the first half of the season. It's weird.
What's everybody's score?
Yeah, it's not a clip show. It's just like we're going to quickly give you a recap of the positions all the other characters are in and what they're up to and the techniques.
I guess it's like a mid-season thing where it's just like, where are we at? Where are we at in the fucking thing? Yeah. Just catch up.
Everyone's going, where's Iruma?
Yes, he's down a hole.
I did appreciate that it's done through the, again, in-universe thing of the teacher announcing the scores, who's doing the best, and also this one motherfucker who is 0. And he's like, oh, I see, Kalego, you're trying to fucking motivate him, aren't you? And he's like, Iruma, get your shit together. Like, turns on the speaker.
You're making us look like jerks. Come on.
But yes, he's climbing out the hole. Him and Allison. I was like, oh man, I wish Allison was able to talk more often because I really like the actor's delivery of his lines and his different sort of gag personalities. But obviously, the plot requires that he remains secret for most of it, and therefore has to keep stum. And he reckons it's going to take him 3 years to climb out this hole. But then our smelly little demon comes back and is basically like, hey, why don't you use your wings through mime?
I hurt my leg. I actually did hurt my leg. That's why, yes.
Also, I canonically have very small wings, so I have to walk everywhere. Yeah.
And even Nafta is just like, it's just going, it's just like, okay, good thing I came here. I'm happy to be a bit of a pro with this. You just kind of getting all that in the little language, and it's like, so I got a little vine, little root. You put like a drop of water in it. It goes up like 50 stories. You can climb up out of here, no problem. Yeah. I could, but ow, my leg, it still hurts. Hey, remember that time when I spit a drop of my blood in that monster and it kind of heal things? It's like,
if water does this to a demon plant, my blood will probably do it even better. Time to bite a hole in my thumb and put it on the plant, and yep, that certainly gets him noticed by everyone.
It almost destroys the entire.
He's doing that thing where he made a plant grow huge again.
Yeah, and he flies out on the back of this, and this makes Clara and Asmodeus, who've been missing. They've been like, "Oh, I want to see Iruma. Where's Iruma?" And then they're like, "Ah, that must be Iruma. There's the guy." As is everybody else.
Where's the biggest cause of chaos here? Giant vine. There he is. All right.
We also learned that the winner is going to be basically named like Junior Demon King, essentially.
It's an honorific, but would be very nice to get if you're going to be the actual Demon King, right?
Looks great in the CV.
Yeah, you'll be voted most likely to be Demon King in the yearbook, basically. Yeah.
Then Caligo goes and talks to him, and he's like, "What do you think you're playing at?" He says, "I'm going to win this because I've got the seed." And he's like, "He's still on 0 points." And then we check in on Lead, who's like, "I've got
having his own adventure."
He quickly recaps his adventure. He's got the pot, and then your green-haired guy reminds him that, hey, that pot on its own is worth 20,000 points. Why don't you just turn it in now while I bother waiting for Iruma? And he ums and ahs, but then Iruma, he gets the message that Iruma had sent earlier in the episode, and then he realizes, oh shit. I need to go
because not only has the teacher announced to everyone, is like, hey, that kid there has a pot worth 20,000 points. Get him. Get that pot. Yeah. So he's hiding from them, but he's also, Aruma's like, hey, I've got the seed. Now we can make the legend leaf and get all the maximum points. So everyone's just like, oh shit, we want to steal that.
From the teacher goes, oh yeah, by the way, it's for the 100,000 points. Like, so it's like, all right, it's already gone. Like, they're swarming, they're messing around. There's blood in the water. It's like, oh shit.
And worst of worst, as he's sneaking away from the people like just hunting him through the bushes,
I can
he
do
meets
this. I
his
got willpower.
he meets his worst enemy, a hot lady who probably likes him. Damn it!
She does like him, but like
Mm,
she likes everybody in that way though. So it's not
Yeah.
really thing, but it's still very fitting. It's like, oh,
but she did probably steal all of his points. So yeah.
and she'll
So-
do it again.
I assume next episode is the great trial of Lee's willpower.
Well, we saw him go through a whole adventure, like as a run through it. In this episode, he went through multiple gambling things, had to play video games against people. All the exciting lead being the main character stuff.
Yeah, he had to defeat a genie as well. He was
He
pulling
did.
his weight in this team.
Mm.
Does this mean like a room with he's got to defeat everybody, including his entire class? Come on, guys, can we get along? No.
Mm.
Valuable to me.
I think the other important thing probably to note is that when they're running through the results, Oribus, the horse guy who's got the trauma, blood magic, and always comes third in things, is currently not third.
Mm.
Tyrese was second.
No, he's like 15,000. I think
No, he's on the podium, but he's not higher on the podium. I think
Yeah.
is the weird thing about him. Yeah.
he's always third. Yeah, I was like, is he third or no? Is his? I think his thing is. Oh no, so you're right. Second. Okay.
Oh, I
yeah.
thought it was third as well. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is numeral.
Always
2,
leave room for
yes.
improvement.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yes, I think Sabnok and Asmodeus are currently number one. In fact, he might be fifth because I think the two brothers have got equal scores above him as well.
Yeah, I think Sabnok and your man have like a very slight difference, and the brothers have exactly the same
20,000,
points.
21,000,
Something like that. Yeah, but the brothers have equal score. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Tsukima bit explains what's up with their clothes, fun,
Yes.
cool costume, right? But saying, yeah, okay, I can thought, no, this is like pretty tough gear. So it's like, oh, I see, you're like one of the delinquents, one's got the long coat, the other's got like the ripped up one with the bandages, and it's like, yeah, Master is pretty cool. Still don't know which Master they mean.
Yes, but Balam's dressed them because he's the one who.
They initially think their costumes look dumb, and then they hear that Master has picked out the costume. It's like, oh well, now I fucking want those really cool costumes.
Yes,
Wrong
and
Master.
we know because Balam knows human stuff that he's just indulging in his own fandom of delinquency comics. That he's dressing up these two guys in those uniforms.
Can't believe they fell for it.
Yeah, fun stuff. Then over in the realm of Trigon Stampede, I did not have time to watch episode 1, No Man's Land. What happened in it? Is it worth watching?
Yeah. So, you know what Trigon is? We're aware what Trigon is. So you may know he might have seen this dude. Vashon Stampede. He's an outlaw. He's a renegade. He's got like a $60 billion double dollar bounty. So there's double dollars. That's even more valuable. And he's like being chased on this kind of Wild West planet where humans have been eking out an existence for some time now. But he's kind of wherever he goes, he's got his big bounty because he call it disaster wherever he goes. But he's a very powerful and skilled gunman, but he never shoots to kill. Never does that. So
but the way the show opens is with him as a kid escaping one of these, what would you call it, like planetary seeding ships or something like that?
Yeah, so
I think it's something like that, yeah.
So you get kind of hints at that, but you kind of find out that more kind of partway through the original manga of like, oh, like this is where you can kind of tell there's been a kind of crash sites and strange technology that shouldn't belong in a Wild West setting, around for ages because you got cyborgs and kind of the reactors of these ships that able to kind of create like water and they can grow crops with and survive in this otherwise barren desert planet. It's nothing for miles around but for these ships. So they all crashed like some time ago, and he had like a twin brother. You know who's the evil twin because he parts his hair to the left or sinister side. And
he also has the beauty mark on the opposite side. If you can't tell the difference,
yeah. So seemingly, he went crazy, and he might have like intentionally caused all the ships to crash because they're different somehow because they are kids, but there's something off about them. They seem kind of different. They're not like the regular humans they were brought out here. So he's just like done that. So they've gone their separate ways and kind of survived in their own ways, and like ostensibly Vash is trying to find Nigel who's on the run from him. But he gets in a lot of trouble along the way and helps people out. So we have
Going from town to town, being run out of town to town. You know how it is, yeah.
So we have got some people on the trail, and we have one Mellow Strife, A-Score reporter, just new on this newspaper gig with the old mentor Roberto Nero. Was this grizzled old drunk guy who's past this. We're never going to get a scoop on this Vash the Stampede character. We'll find him. It'll be the scoop of the century, see? So you see a dude strung up there. It's like, oh shit, one dead body up here. Jeez, we're numbering this dude. Oh, he's still alive. Oh, help me, please. Wait a minute. This is the dude we're after. Oh, here come the different desert cops. What do we do? He seems like a pretty nice guy, though. We haven't got the full story off him just yet. Can't blow the whole thing. Officers, you went that way to that horizon. Okay, after him, man.
And they still tie him up and bring him into town because it's like, well, he's worth a lot of money, so we should probably A, get the story off him, and B, if he is a criminal, turn him in for the huge bounty. So win, win, win.
So we bring him into town, and they roll up into the saloon, if I'm saying, Vash, it's you! You come back to the saloon, we can pour you a drink. It's just like, what? What's hanging on? Oh, yeah, I saved the town there a little while ago, so, I'm kind of tight with the people here. It's like, oh, yes. Vash, I got a job for you. The reactor, the plant, it's acting up again. So it's like, oh, crap. And he has to kind of, there's more this Vash character than it seems to be, because there's not many people who have this affinity or knowledge of the old technology. I mean, he's got like a robot arm.
Yeah, they can't make this. They say they can't make these power plants anymore. They have to either steal them or buy them off another freaking town, which would obviously decimate that town.
Yeah, so it's one bad news of one of them is basically dying off, and like it could be like, unless you get replaced or something like that. If one there's curtains for the whole thing, it's like, oh shit, okay. Anyways, cops are here. Got heard this Vash Stampede. When we saw Brian Man, they bring him away, and it's like, oh, under arrest. Actually going to resist, trying to try some kind of ace outlaw gunman, and say, nope, not here, not in front of the plant, certainly. And then Robert.
Basically, the guy's going to take him, but Robert De Niro convinces him, is like, if you were a real man, you'd challenge him to a duel.
Yeah.
And he's like, I fucking will.
You're right, I will.
He's obviously crazy because immediately, like, he throws his guns away and shoots him with a rocket launcher filled with cluster grenades from the look of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, how are you going to bring him in if he's blown to smithereens? You haven't thought this
care.
Through. I'm going to win this duel. I'm going to win against Vash the Stampede, making me the best gunman because I brought a rocket launcher to a duel.
Vash did bring a gun, but he didn't bring any bullets because he didn't want to come to this. It's just for show, really, fun saying, oh, for God's sake, this fucking guy is just all talk. Oh, he's just funny. He's nothing to crack up to be. Oh, give me a bullet. It's one bullet. It's all I need, bro. Where's a fucking bullet? Go ahead and take it. It's just like, and this is why I'm kind of expecting this kind of thing to kind of go for while we're sort of being fun. We're going to have some kind of utilize the CD and do sweet trick shots. Gets a fun rock, lobs it up, one bullet, shatters the whole thing amongst, and this kind of pings up all the cluster grenades falling down and blows them all up at one go. It's like, holy shit.
I guess he really is all that, but at the end he says, that was just pure blind luck. I don't know how I did that. Surely I'm not good at this thing.
Yeah. So if there's obviously more to this guy than meets the eye. He's like, sure, you kind of running from town to town. So it's like there's something you're running from or running to, or what's the story with you? It's like, yeah, I got this brother. He's he's a little bit nuts. So I'm trying to either run away from him or stop him or do all like that. You don't get the full idea of it yet. Like I've just like inferring things from what I've known from reading the whole thing and what it's kind of doing. So it's kind of switching up things and just like kind of laying it all out there from the start. I suppose
it's got more direction because it knows where the original goes. It's just like, well, we can skip past the chaff and like we can just go like concentrate this being the actual story of it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's definitely bits I want to get to it. Like maybe it's like the initial series that kind of it didn't even quite follow the comic that closely, but for kind of the very broad strokes of it, and even that became into like it's an outlaw competition of the week, and Vash must like again have his principles tested of not taking any lives when he shoots. So to kind of get that kind of mystery out of the way and kind of even just kind of knowing this much about it, kind of saying, okay, there's still some things that you don't because the whole thing like even like finding out his arm is prosthetic, you don't kind of see that until like a good few chapters in, when they happen to catch him like walking out of the shop and saying, "Oh shit, oh man, you were cut up and you haven't got an arm. Oh geez, I didn't know that." He's just
Whereas in this, obviously, it's like he very clearly has a robotic arm from the start.
yeah.
That's the bit that starts moving first when
Yeah.
he's hung upside down. It's like, oh, he does have a
Yeah.
robot arm. Don't worry about
And
it.
he has a fun trench coat with like the name of like the colony like mission like on the
Yeah.
side of it. So switching things up now, right? So they probably will like begin to arrest him in short order. Like we know that Wolf Wood is going to be he's like this like
He's in the
sketchy
opening, so yeah.
sketchy priest character. To be like the various henchmen of Knives who are out there doing his bidding. I think as well, this was a big thing in everybody's minds. Is like, oh, it's CG, but it is Orange Studio who are the best in the business, ostensibly at this as well. So there's been people kind of going, I don't know about this. The original one is in my mind. Is it so different?
Someone playing the footage of Vash doing his like gun fu, where he's like dodging the bullets at point blank range in the duel in this episode, and comparing it to his little lizard crawl that he does in the original one, which is funnier way to dodge bullets. But they like, and it's being kind of facetious, like, oh, it's just making him look cool and just being cool for cool's sake. They didn't show his goofy looping ass run to try and catch one bullet just before that. You know what I mean? He is still being an absolute fucking goober. But they're using the CG really well for, especially for like tracking shots and moving through the 3D space rather well, which is the advantage it has over traditional animation, and they're doing a great job of that. Yeah.
A big advantage you also have is that a lot of the backgrounds and settings are just like rolling sand dunes and big clips of rock. So I want to see him like make use of more of that color, like like this lovely sunset, let's say, and I see you got at least 2 moons up there. Let's see like some use of that as well. Just put some kind of funky color palettes on this, and there's like bizarre animals as well. There's like big sandworms and fucking desert dragonfly things and green ostriches people ride around on. Weirdo yokes like that. It's good as well in the faces, and that's also they've also been kind of good at that as well as the faces. Like we've seen a lot of CG anime where it's just kind of those are the kind of flat model, and then it's just like the sticker of like the over the eyes and the mouth will be moving around on top of it. This looks like absolute gubbins, absolute garbage, but it's a kind of here's an actual kind of model of a face that's been animated. It's just realistically kind of emotion expressing. So even like it's get like a fairly quiet scene where the two of them are in the car, and just like driving off, and it's not a very exciting background of just desert and sky, but they're kind of just going like, fucking, really kind of going
they
like,
physically express themselves very well. Yeah.
And it's like with Vash as well, like he gets kind of the city side of it, but there's like kind of that sadness as well, and it's able to kind of graduate in between those very well too. So we get the kind of glimmering of it here, like what CG is going to bring to this as well is just those sweet trick shots. That was a very like okay, you could buy simulate that for enough in hand-drawn animation, but like as you said, a good tracking shot maybe kind of was like fun, send it down and follow the bullet that ricochets off things and through people and dodging around, not killing anybody, just to do what he knows to do. I want to see like I hope for some of that to crop up. All right,
like it adds some of that as well in the earlier part with the escape pod from the ship, where it's kind of moving through space and dodging debris and kind of sweeping along this massive arc that's exploding at the time. So it's using three-dimensional space very well, and if it can do more of that, then I'm really excited for more of it.
Yeah, the space just wasn't as exciting, so it's kind of good that it isn't like a lot of that involved in it, because it's a little bit like Battlestar Galactica kind of.
Yeah. You don't want to lean too much on that. Lean on the cowboy stuff. You're good at that.
yeah, that's all right. I'm just interested now, just like in a standpoint of like what's going to change, what's be kind of different and changed up. Like different can be a good thing, and outside of that TV series, which was 2 decades ago, and there was a film that came in like a decade or more ago, it hasn't been allowed Trigon actually on the telly, so it's been long enough. That comic has been out. He's doing Blood Blockade, Battlefront, and beyond now. I think over the
I think it's on the 3rd series. Yeah, I think it's on the 3rd.
Yeah, so we ain't coming back to it. So let someone else have a go at it.
All I know from Twitter is people are mad that Millie's not in it. So it doesn't matter about everything else. They're just mad that Millie's not in it.
Dear.
Well, some kind of think that Robert De Niro, he seems like this kind of character who's going to go, I've been on this job too long, I'm just drinking myself to death, the kind of thing that feel like, he may not be long for it, maybe they get some else. But then Meryl's supposed to be like the rookie reporter here, so I can't see him going away, at least not that quickly. And is this going to run for like a 13 and that's it? Or there's lots of things in there that they can use and kind of stretch it out. It might even like get near like the famous kind of like outlaw assemblage, the gung ho guns, who kind of they basically go after Vash in sequence, try to take him out, and each of them puts his principles to the test of not killing and not taking a life. Again, it's entirely different as well. Well, I still thought when Wolf against it because he was my favorite character in it to begin with. So I hope they do a good job at him too.
So if they fuck him up, then you'll be mad at it on
Then
Twitter.
I'm mad.
Then we've got Inspector Season 2, Episode 1. That God's name is.
That's the name of it. Yep.
Yeah.
Jim.
So what happens in Inspector Season 2, Episode 1? Because I did not watch it, because I didn't watch Season 1.
No, did you watch this?
I didn't.
Okay, it's
All
just
on you,
me.
Glenn.
I don't remember any of the characters' names. Yes. Right. So our main character, who is obviously the god of all these ghosts and goblins and ghoulies, they explain the premise of the show again. And they explain the premise in a great way, where you got three ghosts playing cards. A dead guy, his legs tail off into like a ghost tail. You know how it is. A guy who appears to be a businessman whose head is in a stone lantern, and a axolotl are playing cards right out in the open. They're just like, hey, did you hear about our goddess? She's great, and she's got a boyfriend who has eaten a bunch of yokai, and he's terrifying, and we're scared of him. He also has this power now, so watch out for that. But she's really cool. We like her. I saw her the other day. And the regular dead person who's a ghost was like, oh man, I gotta fucking call her because there's a spooky ghost in my apartment building that I haunt, and I'm the spooky ghost there. So he's not mad about it. He's scared of the other spooky ghost. So, and we kind of cut to them, and your man's in his apartment with her, and she's like, he's really annoyed at her because she's clearly been the one spreading rumors in his apartment complex that they're having illicit relations and stuff, and he's like, yeah, we're going out and everything. It's like, but we are having illicit relations, right? It's like, yeah, but it looks like I'm fucking a child. That's what it looks like here, and I'm going to get kicked out of my fucking apartment. Please stop doing this. And she's like, it'll be grand, it'll be grand, it'll be grand, it'll be grand.
She is like always was very much like fun saying, like I'm hitting that.
Yeah. Oh no,
Stop
she's very proud that she's hitting that. It's not that he's ashamed. It's just that he doesn't want to be caught for being a pedophile. That's very important.
It's not. She's like,
in the same year as him in college. Yeah, it's grand. It's all above board.
Not woman. She's just like,
but she's making it look like it's not above board. That's his problem with it. But anyway, so she has a meeting with these ghosts, and your man's like, all right, so I was watching the guy whose apartment I haunt. I don't spook him out or anything. He watches movies late at night, which is great because I love movies. I've discovered while being dead. So he's just watching the movies over the back of the couch, which is great. But there's like a thump, 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 a regular beating in the apartment above, and he's like, "Fuck, that was spooky, man." And I said, if I go check that out, I feel like I'm going to get killed, and I'm a ghost, so I don't want to do that. I already did that once, and that's not good enough for me. Would you check it out for me? She's like, yeah, absolutely, I'll check it out. So she checks it out off screen. She checks back in with him. Yeah. Turns out that the landlord had a Komodo dragon up there, and he didn't want to let it know because pets are illegal in this apartment, and also those are illegal in this country. So he really couldn't say anything about it. So he brought it back down. He's like, yeah, but the thumping continued after the landlord checked it out. And he's like, no, that was him going up into the apartment and stomping on it because he didn't want the thing to disappear entirely. So that thing about it being a cursed doll that I said is like, it wasn't actually a cursed doll. That was a story the landlord invented so that people would be like, oh, he can remove the cursed doll and then the building won't be haunted and everyone will be happy. So he can get the doll exorcised and there's no actual ghost in the apartment. And he's like, oh, that's a relief off me, a ghost, that I'm not going to be killed by another ghost. Phew. So all of that was bullshit. It was a haunted doll of a four-armed sumo wrestler with like a with a horn, like a stag beetle, which they have to take out into the woods, and your man has to wrestle into submission. Which is, as they explain, very fortunate because while the sumo wrestler keeps murdering him in increasing horrific ways, every time he dies, he comes back from the dead, and also he can, since he ate the mermaid, and now since he ate the other fucking thing, he can now see the future, which he can now go like, all right, so I died in that version, but now I'm going to grab a future where I'm more likely to win against this motherfucker. Each time he dies, he gets better at fighting him, basically. The sumo wrestler is just an automatic thing. It's not really, it's just a cursed doll of a sumo wrestler.
Yeah.
But yeah, they beat up the thing, destroy the doll, and everything works out. And your man gets to move into the apartment on. He doesn't even have to put the down payment on it and anything like that. Yeah, he's going in cheap there. So, and she's like, fantastic. We can have our salacious relationship there. And he's like, fucking stop it. And she's like, it's closer to school. Oh, come on, it's a pretty sweet deal. And he's like, so this is basically for your benefit. It's like, no, the ghost is better too. He would have been murdered by that sumo wrestler ghost. Everything worked out great. So she's still a shit. Yeah, it's still quite good.
It's like going pretty much well with like the formula where it's like it's like, no, gotta investigate this mystery. That mystery is bullshit, but it's actually a real mystery actually, and that's much spookier and creepier and weirder.
I was going to say, are you describing this episode of Inspector, or are you describing the second segment of Vampire Diaries in No Time this week?
See, that's the thing. I could be, yeah. But I like the thing of her lying to people for their benefit and also for her own benefit. But she didn't want to creep out the ghost. Basically, is the thing. It all worked out.
Then we got Handyman Saito in Another World, Episode 1, Handyman Saito. So this is a isekai manga adaptation, which is a gag manga, as you can tell from watching it, because they're just shorts sketches.
And they all have like a little title to it. But
yes,
yeah. Don't get it mixed up with like the farming one that also came out this season. I hear that's incredibly boring.
Well, this ain't particularly exciting in itself. What it reminded me of, I don't know if you ever bought TSR's Dragon magazine in the 80s or 90s. I assume it's probably the same in the 2000s. It had a humour section called Dragon Birth, where you'd look at it and you'd go, I technically recognise that these are jokes.
What sort of like seasonal like cracker would you find them in though? Not Christmas.
No,
but
they're very
what time of the year?
They're very specifically role-playing related jokes as well.
If someone were to sell fortune cookies with jokes in them specifically to in like tabletop shops or something like that, like these would be the kind of jokes that are in it.
This is super inoffensive. I think the only thing that's close to being a saucy joke is the sketch where the senile wizard, they're explaining on a previous adventure, there'd been an almost total party kill and he'd had to sell most of their equipment to raise them back from the dead, but he had kept the knight's bikini armor that she doesn't wear. She just apparently, as we get a glimpse,
she has a bunch of spare armor.
She has she likes buying armor, is what she. They're D&D characters who do D&D things. We occasionally check on with other characters. There's a dwarf who keeps a dog inside his hat. And there's an adventuring couple where the gag is you think one's going to be...
You think the girl's going to pick up the wand, but no, she picks up the big axe. That's funny. She uses the big axe, not the big man.
I watched this and then I immediately started watching Vampire Diaries in No Time and I was like, okay, what I like about Vampire Diaries in No Time is... There's a sense of risk. There's a sense of the Vampire Diaries in No Time may overstep a mark and be offensive.
Yeah. I mean, like, in the Vampire Diaries in No Time, it had that gay character that I fucking hate because he's such a bad gay stereotype in the episode, but it didn't dwell on him. So,
it didn't go for this time, I think. It might have, like, by this stage, hopefully gone out of his phase of fun, saying, Megan Men are hilarious.
Yeah.
Which it can be, but not just of themselves. You can't just do that.
Handyman Saito would not even go that far. It's
no. It had a wizard in like, I mean, like he was in bikini armor at one point, but because he's a skinny old man, like it didn't really show anything, and it was just like, wait, why did you keep the bikini armor? And he's like, I don't remember. Because the joke about the wizard is he's like level 20, but he's
like 40,
he's senile,
level
basically.
80, yeah, and everybody else is
18,
like 80. I think everybody he's like
he's like
4 times the levels of everybody else.
But because of his dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever it's supposed to be, I don't like the way that's portrayed for comedy. He doesn't remember his incantations a bunch of the time. So sometimes he's like, fuck, how the fuck, what's the incantation for casting fireball again? And while goblins are currently attacking them, and they're like, come on, dude.
Frizz, kaboom, zapple. Ah, Jesus.
Yeah.
It's generally like a long
Yeah.
piece of prose, basically, he has to say. But Saito is not good at anything, but okay at a bunch of things. For example, it opens with him picking a lock to a door that they're trying to break into in the dungeon, and they're like, "Oh, we needed a thief," and he's like, "I'm not a thief. I have a set of locks because locksmithing is one of the things I would do as a handyman."
Yes, I'm a
No,
handyman.
it's a cut keys.
Yeah. Essentially, his thing is his isekai thing is that fantasy adventurers are much more appreciative of his work than the people in the real world who go,
Yeah.
"Well, you did that very quickly. I'm not going to pay you your full fee." Is what we see.
Yeah, but I drove out here. It took me like half an hour to drive out here. You're also paying for my half an hour here and my half an hour back to the fucking job. That's what you're fucking paying for. Doesn't matter that it took me 2 seconds to do.
Yeah, the one bit of friction I think is, which I assume would develop, is that the knight has feelings for him, but she thinks he's got feelings for the woman who runs the equipment shop because they have more in common.
I think it's just they're both professional. Seems to be the thing.
That-
Also,
that-
she seems to
yes.
be ashamed of her horribly scarred face. It's like she just has like a cosmetic scar going up the cheek. It's nothing.
That's a cool kind.
It's the cool kind of scar. Yeah,
You just
exactly.
dig those. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing problem with that. But
yeah, it's just not very funny. And
yeah,
but
Yeah.
the things are, you recognise them as jokes. And
Yeah.
I wonder
the
if there's...
fairy, you wouldn't believe it. The fairy, the caster. Oh my god, she's very greedy, and she keeps she keeps it in a bag of money, but the bag of money is as big as her.
Yeah. But it
This
feels
is
very
a small, avaricious one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a Tinkerbell. You know how the fuck it. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's fine.
I feel like every joke could be told better. It's not that
Yeah.
they're bad jokes; they could also just be told better. At the same
And the
time,
other thing is, it looks pretty good. Like,
at the same time, it's
Hmm.
probably top 3 isekai anime I've watched.
The ideal of that in my head is this Hank Hill gets isekai into there, and it's just like I should go on with that. That's the kind of thing about it, because that can be kind of dry, that can be kind of like, the kind of low key, and it'll work. Well,
Yeah,
some Hank Hill type character.
Saito doesn't really have that personality. He's more like the zookeeper from Polar Bear Cafe. He's more that sort of
Right.
he's just a
the
nice
straight man to
schlub,
everyone else being
yes.
slightly silly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not worth watching, but at the same time, it's not offensive, and it because it's a manga, it probably it works better as an anime than any of these ones, which
Yeah,
is...
again, like, because each individual joke is so short.
Yes, it doesn't feel like
move on to
somebody's...
the next one.
It doesn't feel like somebody's unpublished D&D campaign, which...
No, it feels like someone who's met a bunch of D&D jokes over,
Yes.
or seen a bunch of D&D
Yes.
funnies over the years. Yeah,
it feels like it's written by somebody who plays D&D as well. That's because the gag about having to drag the entire party back to the church to get them raised from the dead, I was like, that's a very D&D reference. More than you see in most of these sort of things.
And when you say like third favorite isekai thing, I'm kind of thinking like Dragon Goes House Hunting.
That's
and
not
then...
isekai. Dragon Goes House Hunting is not. That's plain fantasy.
That's not
That's
isekai.
hard fantasy.
You're right. That is just straight fantasy. There's no... The dragon is supposed to be there. But it feels like it because of all the modern references. I guess is why I had it in my head.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of fantasy jokey things.
Yes, there's fantasy jokey things which are much better than this. Yeah, like Dragon Goes House Hunting, Mahojin.
Like why would someone build a dungeon like this? Well, let's go into detail about that. Actually,
Mahojin Guru for video game side of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, Knockout in Another World, that was great last year. And what was the other one we liked?
Ogre from Another World, whenever that's actually...
Yes, whenever
that's
back,
a good one. That's fair. Like, they make the jokes better in general, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're going broad, you've got technically like Escaflowne is
that's not. That's our moon. That's our moon. That's not. You can see her. If you can see her from the
it's
moon.
behind the moon, I thought.
Yeah, no, it's Phantom Moon. You can see Earth from there, so they haven't gone to another dimension.
I thought you could see the moon and Earth because they have the regular moon and they have the mystic moon.
I can't remember. It's a long time since I watched it.
yeah.
Anyway, it's still.
Oh, because it's got Atlantis, a real location, real
Yes.
Earth location.
Yeah,
Okay,
That's
exactly.
real,
right, yeah,
totally
yeah.
real. Yeah,
Right.
different.
It's not traveling to.
Isaac Newton. Oh, Isaac Newton got sent there. He got fucking sent there as well. Isaac Newton's on the world.
Then very much taking place in our world, but in the past. It's Vinland Saga, Season 2, Episode 1, Slave, in which we
Oh,
introduce-
back for more fun with Vinland Saga.
Your old friend
Whoopee!
Thorfinn. Where's Thorfinn? Oh, who's this dude? I hope he's like, it's okay. Oh, it doesn't.
No.
You've got
Einar,
family, kiss him goodbye.
Einar,
yeah.
he thought he had it easy in the comic. Well, he's got it a lot harder in this first episode, as they added a family that he didn't have, or we never saw in the comic.
Yeah, I didn't remember like that too much, and I thought, well, are they putting things out of order again? I don't know.
No, they were added. When he's running away with food, that was played for gags more in the comic.
Well, I mean, like when they open with the horrible, brutal murder of your family, they kind of can't play that for gags anymore. Yeah.
No, exactly. And I think part of it is because later on in the comic, they introduce Bug Eyes, who's very much the character who gets the gags. And it was like, yeah, you don't need two of these. You don't need to weirdly give it to Einar when we're going to see Bug Eyes eventually.
Mm.
Yeah, so Einar he's a man from the north of England who's enslaved by Vikings, and then we just see the process of a Viking slave through his eyes. As he's
It sucks.
yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it's horrific. Would you fucking believe? Yeah.
Oh, so this one's sick. Well, throw over the side.
Hmm.
Damn, we're going to take a knock to our profits this year. And he's just like just introduced to the very kind of cut and dry business of human trafficking.
We go to slave market where we run into Leif Erikson, who's going around looking for a very specific slave. He's short and blonde.
That bit was still funny, where it's just like, well, here he is, and it's just, and he's thinking of like, is it really? That looks nothing like him. What the fuck are you talking about? It's like, yeah, he's pretty good though, right? It's like, I don't want this.
Great mileage in this one, you know. This guy can put a plow like that, you know. It's like, you know, 1.5 horsepower
car
easy.
salesman of fucking humans, which is just utterly horrific. Because they always check the teeth first, like a fucking horse. It's mad. Yeah.
I'll throw in the rust coating on your shackles for free. Okay, you got a deal.
Then he's bought by a farmer and taken to his farm, and where he runs into, of course, another slave who is short and blonde, called Thorfinn. So he's already got those three details from when he met Leif Erikson. So I presumably
I'm looking for a short blonde guy called Thorfinn, and Leif Erikson is the only person besides his dead family to ever show him kindness. He's like, sorry about that, kid. It's like, I'm not actually in the business of buying slaves, so I'm not gonna buy you. But yeah, so it's utter horror as it usually fucking is in Vinland Saga.
I remember to bite my tongue because I know, because the setup at the end is like, oh, the guy who's bought him doesn't seem as bad as some of the people we've seen on the way to the end of this.
Yeah.
Because even the promise of is like, hey, you want to work on my farm? Because you used to be a farmer, and it's just like, actually, I think I could live with that because that's the thing I did for a living. Yeah, that sounds lovely. And he's like, oh, your fields, they remind me of my fields of home, because he'd stopped trying to escape at this point because he's like, oh, my family are dead. I have nowhere to escape to. So, you know.
And all I'm doing is just kind of like terrorizing other families by robbing their larders because I don't know how to survive out in the wild. Oh man. Yeah, it's the kind of thing. Like it'd be like, like he seems nice, but he still sees you guys as property. So you know, don't get too attached. You know, it's the good landlord. It's like the kindly slave owner.
He can be a kind master, but he's still a master. Is the problem? Yeah.
I mean, look at Thorfinn here. He's dead behind the eyes. He used to be consumed by revenge and ambition and piss and vinegar.
Now he's doing great.
Yeah. So like, you know, I watched just like the end of the last one of the previous series just to, like, you know, kind of remind me of how that one left off again. Just to kind of get back in for the feel of it. I can kind of we'll get around to see what Canute is doing now, but one of the kind of coming back to this is like, you know, it's going to be I thought it's gonna be like fucking, it's like last one was like fucking Game of Thrones and shit. It'd be what's this fucking farm shit? It's like and it'd be even more let down when it's fun saying there's less even the farming shit. When did I get to the sailing stuff? There's barely any battles and warfare at all, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's I'm like, I mean, I enjoyed the 2 volumes I read just before Christmas, but I'm having to like stop myself because like just talking about Vinland Saga, I don't want to talk about those 2 volumes which just came out, not the anime.
Yeah.
I see the authors. Yeah, the authors talking about the director had a bit more consideration for Einar's heart than he did, and so he changed it. A little.
But I can see why they went with the extra tragic backstory, the less comedic kind of thing, because especially coming off the last season, you want to ease us into non-combat by tragedy through the method of tragedy, because the last fucking season was tragic as fuck. And then we're going to ease it out of like combat as well. It's going to be not survival, but like humanity surviving, that kind of thing.
It's like getting like, it's like you see like the Vikings, like the Danish culture being impressed upon was like you have your own like notions or values about what life is. Maybe you're Christians, maybe you just like have this like fun like sanctity for life around it. Vikings got none of that. They just fucking they just like fun. If it ain't nailed down, kill it.
Or steal it.
Yeah, everyone saying, they're all going to the cool place having fun. Like, you want to be killed by me? You're going up to the fucking to the feasting hall if you get killed by me. Fun. I want to be killed by you. Come on, let's do it. Let's go for it. And that's complete insanity. This has no regard, no fucking.
It's not a way to build a society. Yeah.
I think this works better for Einar because essentially from this point on, Einar is lead number 2, and then eventually 3 once Gudrid takes more of a centre role. So yeah, Einar's here for the long haul. So I think it's probably a bit better that he's got a bit more of a serious introduction going forward, because he's going to be shouldering a lot of this story for this season. Because as you see from Thorfinn's face, there ain't much Thorfinn there anymore.
He's a bit out of it, understandably.
Like, he can thwack a tree pretty good. That thing that rhyme through the forest, so there's still like he knows how to swing a blade, but it's not in anger, not in violence anymore. It's not in him. This is all pointless.
Yeah.
But Thorfinn, you gotta remember, your dad kicked ass as well, but he was like much more reserved and conscious about it. You can be that too. You got to remember who you are. Yeah, that'll be a little while.
Yeah, I was going to say, my favourite panel from the latest volume is the shot of his 3 dads looking at him. And that's great.
Love that film.
Yes, very, very weird. A couple of Vikings and an ancient and a Briton, your new dads. Then, not taking place in our world, it's High Card Episode 1 shot. In which I realized...
but everything's very much close together.
Yeah, that's what I wrote. But essentially, everything is within a camera cut's distance from each other.
I like to think of it, it's all like on the same GTA island kind of chain, that kind of thing. I think it's you get across in a half an hour, basically.
You can pick pockets in London, and then you can just be immediately back to your or your orphanage in Los Angeles, and then you can bus ride to Las Vegas to try and win money to save the orphanage.
Yes, so our main character is Finn, an orphan from the city of Shield in Sparta County, which is definitely not London.
I mean, the double-decker red buses, that's just coincidence. Don't worry about it.
And Big Ben, but with playing card icons on it.
It's that same country that double-decker is set in, where it's like, where is this? It's just every European city in one.
I think double-decker's Dundee. I think it's pretty clearly Dundee from the geography. Why it's Dundee, that's another question. But
because no one else did it.
Yeah.
They can do it. That's theirs now.
Yeah, he's trying to get money to save the orphanage before the evil developers force out the orphans and sell it as flats, I assume, because it's London, to people who won't live in them.
Yep.
Make it a hotel. That'll make us the money.
So
office space, remote office space. We haven't got enough of that already, do we?
So we see Finn. He does a whole bunch of pickpocketing. Takes it all to the pawnbrokers, who then refuses to buy any of it because it's nicked. Also, this watch
It's
is
not. It was left to me by my grandpa, and this watch is fake. Also, I'm not buying the shirt off your literal back.
It's hot merchandise. Get out of here.
But I will take that
Hmm.
playing card. He's like, no, I can't let you have that playing card.
My lucky
card.
playing card.
Hang on a second.
You didn't know how lucky it is, do you?
I'll go to Lozenge County, where I go to the town of Bellland, which is definitely not Las Vegas.
No, no.
In a
It's completely different. It looks completely different. What
And
are you talking about?
Roy and Siegfried. It's a completely different
Yes.
show.
I'll earn the money by gambling. Which is doing quite well until he runs into another gambler, Lucky Lunchman.
I'm lucky and I love lunch.
It's a pity about him because what a fucking great name. He's shown up with a very suspicious pair of gloves, and his hands keep getting better and better. What's the deal with that?
Well, yes. They take him to. They invite him to the champagne
VIP room.
Yes.
VIP room.
Hey,
It's like a storehouse. That's right.
He drags Finn along. Yeah, they want to know what he's playing at, and then one of the security guys shows up, who we've seen in a security room surrounded by marbles that he's eating
And blood.
Yes, and it turns out he has one of these cards as well, which he activates. Lucky Lunchman has one of the cards, which it turns into his gloves. But yeah, this other guy, when he activates the card, he can touch you or touch. Yeah, it has to be humans.
Anything.
Anything that's in his hand turns into marbles.
Yes, which is.
And
like
also he eats the marbles. Don't put marbles in your nose. Put them in there. Do not put them in there.
I think he's just licking the blood off them. Yeah.
Oh, he swallows a bunch of marbles.
Well,
there's occasionally a red one. I guess a red one tastes like cherry. He loves those. Or he thinks it tastes like cherry. No, because you're like child to think like the craft sweets are actually reason the fun saying, the menthol hurts my face. It's like a child.
I was thinking of the Key and Peele one where your man keeps stuffing the marbles in his mouth. It looks so delicious.
Just put them in there. Do not put them in there.
Yeah.
Another guy in a red suit shows up to deal with this guy who's turning people into marbles. Finn excuses himself, bumps into the guy who's turning people into marbles, leaves the room, and then that guy realizes that Finn's pickpocketed the 10 of diamonds card that he'd stolen from Lucky Lunchman. Some point during all this, Lucky Lunchman falls on a gun. And
basically because he loses his card, he slips on the marbles, falls onto the gun of a guy whose head had been turned into marbles earlier, gets shot, and he's like all the bad luck's coming back. Basically, yeah.
It's like Versus. Oh, poor guy.
Because you can see how his luck thing works besides the cards. Because when the guys tried to grab him, two of them bumped into each other and fell out of like a fifth-story window. Basically, he's like, no one can touch me. I'm lucky. And your man's like, all right, I can turn people into marbles. How lucky do you think you are? How lucky do you think your wife and kid that I've researched that you have you are? Think they like being marbles? But no, Lucky Lunchman does not make it through the episode. Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
The marble guy kills Chris, the guy in the red suit, and then chases after Finn. There's a car chase. Chris, seemingly not dead, tells a guy called VJ to switch off the traffic lights so they can pursue the pair of them. Rams the assassin off the road, and it turns out his card is it the
gun.
5 of hearts? No, Chris's card is the 5 of hearts.
Chris's card is
it's calorie high.
Yeah, something like
that's it. They all have very odd names. So like he's like, I'm fine. I survived that crash. Don't worry about it. And then he gets shot in the head, dies, and then he's like, I also survived the crash. I have a gun now. Give me that card, and I will kill you quickly and painlessly. That's the only offer I'm making right now. Eman's like, I also have a gun because that's my card.
Yes, 2 of spades is the one Finn's got, which apparently gives him the ability to summon a gun.
Doesn't seem very good considering that other guy also had a gun.
I suppose out of the 52 playing cards that were scattered when the royal family was assaulted, and there's like the cloud cards from Character Distractor just scatter all over the world. Everybody's got one of them. They probably just like running short up ideas, pretending got the 2 of spades, but saying, marbles, we got that. Fucking like resurrection by eating sweets, we got that. Gun?
Oh,
yeah. But hey, if Iraqi can do the Emperor, we can do it with the 2 of spades. It's completely fair.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because when we see the opening when the cards are being stolen, the woman who steals them is using a power seemingly without a card called Kaboom, which allows her to summon loads and loads of plastic explosives.
Was it any playing card? You get like a fucking like a Uno card, from Yu-Gi-Oh card, Blue Eyes White Dragon. This comes out. Anything you want.
She does have a glove though with a spade symbol on it, so she might have already had it. Or there's another set of cards.
They tend to turn into little pairs of gloves or some kind of accoutrement like that. Because when someone's just gone, he's got matching gloves to go with it. So I guess like the glove is the kind of cool accoutrement.
And how much glove depends on the cost of the card, I guess. Because your man's two of spades, isn't it? It's fingerless because that's a very low number. But Lucky Lunchman's one had two gloves because it was like the 10 of something. And I was just like,
it's 10 of diamonds.
You need to spread those over multiple gloves.
It's fingers. It's fingers.
Yes.
Probably is fingers. Yeah, you're right.
I know, and the base card to be, I don't know, maybe you get like a cool pair of shades, I don't know.
It could be.
Yeah, if they bring out a deck of these cards, though, I'm probably going to buy them because I do quite like the face designs on them. Yeah, so it ends with them pointing their guns at each other. Title episode, one shot. Then we get the end credits where it's like, hey, we saw Kingsman.
Yeah.
Hey, I wonder if he's going to team up with a bunch of other guys with similarly themed colored suits and different powers, like the power of having a sword by the look of one. That kind of thing.
Yeah, so
Bungo Stray Dogs, what's that? I never heard of it.
I'm fine with this format.
Guys in suits running around with weird powers, like in a fight, between justice and crime. It's like, yeah. I care. That's that thing it's called, right? It'll do nicely. If if we get no Bungo Stray Dogs, it just fits the bill quite well because it's. I guess it's similar, obviously literary tradition with Bungo Stray Dogs. It's kind of a literary one saying, yeah, it's like James Bond. It's like fucking all your favorite like airport like spy novel things. Lots of action,
and gangsters and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and also magic cards and a royal family and kind of a vague kind of fantasy or fictional country setting anyway.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Very fun.
The marble power was just gloriously grotesque.
It was weirdly like horribly violent and stuff, but with only there'd be like a blood splatter or a blood stain, but no actual viscera anywhere, which is very funny because it turns into marbles. You're great.
Yeah. Also,
I thought it was cool how he's like carving a whole track through the shelving as he's trying to get up. He's
just flinging marbles
out the walls and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Chris dodges him and he touches the tie, and half the tie disappears into marbles. Yeah, also the guy with the horrible, grotesque power doing horrible, grotesque things to people is a shit. He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Unlike the two heroes of a show we'll get to later, where I was like, I don't think I can watch this because I hate everybody in it.
Yeah.
Well, we've liked what the director has done on this. Junichi Ivara. He did Sakugan the most recently, so we're all about that. So I don't know if we could get Sakugan too if he's busy with this, but I don't know, maybe it's just getting lots of work. I hope.
Keep the walls from the door. Then we got The Vampire Dies in No Time, Season 2, Episode 1, the usual 3 stories of the appropriate length to the length of the story. Let me find the episode list.
Dralk, Friends, Almost Independent, Go Vampire Hunters, Ghost Hunters, sorry. And Dralk the Silent Jammer.
Yes. So the first part involves Dralk accidentally knocking the welcome sign off
the front door of the office.
He's basically storming out like a teenager. He's like, "Fine, I'm not gonna hang out here anymore, Dad. You're not even my real dad, Ronaldo." But he knocks the welcome sign, and therefore he's not technically everyone welcome, so he can't enter because the guy does live there.
Vampire rules.
House. Vampire rules.
Yes.
Yeah,
So it's the idea
just to run away for real. Basically.
Throughout the entire first season, the only reason he was able to enter the office was because that sign was there.
Yeah.
The welcome mat sound. It's like, come on, that's good enough. It's inferred tacit approval of my entry. So that's all we need.
So yeah, Dralk's trying to find a place to stay for the night. Meanwhile, the reporters from the Vampire Hunter magazine have shown up, and so Ronaldo's having to pass off John as a vampire.
Because they came here to interview Dralk specifically, and it's like, here he is. It's like, that's right, he's very short and an armadillo, so don't Don't ask anything about it.
Yes.
The interview went very well by the look of it, so that's good.
Definitely, you got a nice flashy spread in there. He filled in well while he was getting chased by pigeons and like evil vegetables and so forth.
Yeah, essentially, the rest of the episode is reminding you of a whole bunch of the cast members as Drauk tries to go.
Yeah, a bunch of the cast members and that vampire Ginseng, which I guess is a recurring character now.
Yes.
All right.
Lives on the floor if we couldn't catch it.
Yes, because Drauk's final plan was, well, nobody lives under the floorboards. I can go and live there for a while.
It doesn't count as a house. So, yep.
But it turns out somebody did live there. So, yeah, then the second half is, it's the...
Middle third.
Yes, the second half and the third half. So I can't remember if they'd established that one of the journalists went to school with Ronaldo before.
I feel like he's mentioned it before, like,
and I guess
because
he's
like,
well,
I'm going to hang out with my friend. It's like, oh, what, for like a big interview kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, because we're fucking friends from college.
I remember him being like more like intense to him. Again, was because he's just like a giant fan of him and more like that. But yeah, he flies up to the handle breeze and say, "Come on, man, it's gonna be cool."
Yeah,
but I did like Ronaldo's thing of it's like, I'm going to hang out with my friend like a normal fucking friend because I have friends outside of work and stuff. Like, and it's like, no.
Goes and meets him, and it's an abandoned. Is it an abandoned hospital? Or is it
a spooky hospital that has a bunch of ghost stories attached to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a vampire in there, though. It's not by a vampire, but it's this guy sheet over. So he's a vampire whose legs are transparent or kind of fading away.
His lower half is transparent. He is wearing pants. He's very clear on that, up to the point where he's not wearing pants. But his lower half is transparent. So he's like, I might as well dress like a ghost and haunt this hospital, right?
And we should say, not only is the bottom half of his body transparent, his name is transparent lower body. Continue with the theme of vampires whose names are just their gimmick.
The thing that they do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he bothers them. They bother him. Handa's also there. And eventually it turns out there really wasn't.
Handa's there to piss off Ronaldo, basically. I want to see him squirm.
There actually is a ghost who's initially incredibly frightening, and then she's quite cute, and her and the vampire set up like a haunted house business.
Yeah. The whole thing of just like, I didn't do those things is like, that was all the dead babies who've combined into one ghost. Oh my God. It's just like, yeah, but it's basically like a small child. So she's happy enough to work with a transparent lower half vampire to set up a ghost house.
He's Instagram famous now. Yeah.
And then the third half is he's got to write his side story for his autobiographies.
It's due today. Yes. So if his publisher finds out he hasn't finished it, he's going to kick his ass. I hope Drauk doesn't silently try to distract me the entire fucking time.
Well, no. First of all, he threatens him first. He's like, if you make any noise, I'm going to use you as fertilizer for my tomatoes. So therefore, Drauk tries to distract him silently and does. And then eventually...
You didn't say that.
The editor shows up, and this leads Ronaldo to sing a song about how he should have been able to see the punchline from the second page of the script. And then, in retrospect, I should have been able to see it from the first page. Which I thought was glorious. I thought that was a really good, weird gag. I hope that's the ending theme for the rest of the series. Kind of give me the impression that it might be, because they ran the credits while he was singing it. Alternatively, if somehow every single third part ends in a song, I'm also fine with that.
That would be good too. The third part was especially good because it's basically just Ronaldo screaming in his head constantly, and the variation between him going like, "Drunk, you son of a bitch, stop doing that," and John, how could you betray me like this?
John's making faces is fun, saying the smell of milk has gone off. Like, oh, can't get mad at John, but I can't help myself.
Yeah, because Drauk sets up like one of those Pythagoras switch things, and then uses John to start them as a ball, and John just immediately rolls off the side, so nothing happens.
That's the bit that drives Ronaldo mad. He's like, I'll fucking show you how to do this. And so it looks like he's setting it up when the editor arrives. And it's like, are you fucking dicking around rather than writing your new chapter? It's like, all right, song time. I got to sing a song. Absolutely. Sing away, says the editor. just good shit. Yeah.
Last requests and all that.
The opening credits has pretty much everybody in it and some characters we've not met yet. It kind of gives a fair amount of focus to Drauk's granddad in the opening. I assume he's a breakout popular character from the strip.
Oh, I mean, like he was very funny in the
Yes,
last season as well. So yeah, that's
There was
understandable.
fucking Joji Nakata wasn't there as well. Just
He
like,
was,
he
yeah.
just he likes being. I am a very intimidating old man who wants to play some board games.
Like could be a threatening vampire if he wasn't a fucking goober. Yeah.
Like he's the closest you're gonna get to like Japanese Christopher Lee after all. We gotta get him in. He's just super kindly.
But yes, compared to Handyman Saito, I was cackling within moments of this thing started when John's preparing to commit suicide over
broken eggs.
Broken eggs, that's it, yes.
He breaks the entire tray of eggs.
It's a silent bit of the whole thing is just fucking wind them up like, like, not touching you, not touching you, not touching you. He's got me there, a legal loophole.
Then another returning show, Suddenly Egyptian Gods, season 2, suddenly welcoming back the Egyptian gods. I think I watched Ra's speech while the rest of the family were ignoring him and getting into fights. And then I got distracted and I didn't watch the rest of the episode.
That's fine. They're like, oh, here's all your favorites. We're back again. What are Anubis and Thoth up to? Oh, underworld stuff. They're weighing souls. Oh, but he's so tired. Because why are you so tired? Because we had a fight last night, and I, in a huff, I just sat down and made a little mummies because that's what I do.
I stayed up too late making mummies, and now I'm knackered from doing that. And also, I'm still mad about that fight we had the other day.
Yeah.
They work it out. What were they fighting over? He was like, hey, try this pickled egg or whatever the fuck they were eating. And he tried it. It's like, oh yeah, that's really good. And it's like, I wanted to eat mine first, and that was their whole argument.
They're watching that it was that obscure like snake god who's not a pet but a different one who's always an idol, and they're fighting over something that's on the TV, and they can't kind of fighting over there. But then you're getting very sleepy, Anubis. You need to get some sleep. If I'm saying, yes, sleep. It's like, yeah, it's really working, and they both nod off. They have a nice little nap together, and they wake up and say, oh man, we're off for a long time. And happily the Eradicator, who's at the justification for this whole thing. This is the hieroglyph they've found on one wall. It's just like a dude wearing a sheet, and became a meme in Japan, and definitely there's comic being incepted. But it's like, no. Well, I guess while they're asleep, I'll be like, the cobbler and the elves, and just like, we all used to form. By the time they wake up, all their work will be done, and they'll be refreshed, and they'll finally be able to make up, and they'll be all fine. And they start fighting all over again, if I'm saying, those Egyptian gods, always clashing in the heavens or the underworld, am I right? It's like, oh, yes. Like, hey, everyone, hope you enjoy our motherfucking series.
Okay.
It's kind of like very much of the same kind of cuteness, short and slight, and it could survive because of that, but it mightn't.
And you might learn something. The ones that take here's something that actually happened in the stories of this, and we're going to turn it into a bizarre sketch. So I'm not sure if this was that natural incident in this particular.
I mean, the gods are constantly fighting in multiple mythologies, so I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Then we've got the Giant Beasts of Arse, episode 2, the Covenant Ritual.
A bunch of magic is explained. Hooray!
Yes. So, essentially, clerics produce so much miasma that they cause people. Is it turn to ash? Is it? Or...
Yeah, things that they touch to just go and they turn into ash and die.
So, Jesus, that's some intense farting.
So they need a paladin to channel that power, and this is done by, as we see our hero, he splits open and
he makes a pact with her by kissing her on the forehead, reciting a little prayer, and then he splits open as we don't see how the legs do. I presume the legs go in the same way, but a split in his face and his arms, and she plugs into him.
Yes.
And then he closes. It's weird, man. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
What's the best part is, right? He's all Super Saiyan glowing, and he's like, I'm fighting this giant monster, and she's like, what the fuck is happening? And he's like, you don't fucking just shut up, all right? Just let me fucking do this, and I'll explain later.
Get a robo. I hardly know her.
Yeah.
It's great, man.
The payoff of the kiss is the second time they do it later on in the episode, where she's leaning in expecting a kiss, and he's like, no.
We have to fight a giant beast. He's like, okay, leans in for the kiss. He's like, that was just to initiate the pact, right?
Yes.
We don't have to do that every fucking time. She's like, oh, a little disappointed by that, honestly.
That's so bizarre. I must see this in motion for myself.
It's pretty good looking. He has what I could only describe as like a knife with a really long handle that can turn into a gigantic spear after he stabs it into something.
Yeah.
Which is great. Like it's a good bit.
Yeah, so that's about the only explanation you get of stuff, though.
I mean, like that's a fair
So far.
explanation.
We don't know what
Like-
that fantasy crystal meth that the villain is constantly eating out of his
No.
jar.
The giant beast that showed up with no head fucking grows a head.
Yes.
And he's like, damn, where's its weak spot? It's so tough. And she's like, what about its big glowing red eye? And he's like, yeah, that's probably a pretty good idea, actually. I'll give that a lash, and that does it.
That's not explained, but it is explained that there's two characters who know what's going on with that more than the others do, which is the middle-aged woman who rescued 22, our heroine, at the start and gave her a name.
Yeah, the woman who runs the bar. Yeah.
And an old man who we see in the opening credits is fighting our main character.
He seems to be a paladin as well. Yes. Seemingly. Yeah.
Also, we see in the flashback that some of the people who were with him when his love died previously, they seem to have been hired by the villain because they're wandering around under heavy cloaks. They sneak off his boat while he's having a conversation with his two henchmen, who I love, the two middle management villains whose main concern is not to get touched by that miasma and turn into ash.
Yeah, they're just regular guards, by the thing I can tell of it. And I really appreciated like a lot of the stuff with the evil villain who's kind of like, oh, did you like later on they managed to capture her again, 22. And they managed to capture her. He's like, yeah, but we lost a guy in the process of it. He's like, I tell you what, say he died during the giant beast attack, because that way his family will get his pension. I'm a great boss. And they're just like, yeah, thank you, sir. That's a really good idea. Yeah. They're just like, we just don't want to die is basically our whole fucking thing.
Yeah, because he's a little too pleased that a guy turned to ash as well, because that means
he's like, oh, brilliant, her powers are working. Yes. Fantastic.
Yes,
good to know.
Artificially created cleric that he seems to have, I suspect he's done. Yeah. Yeah, the miasma attracts the giant beasts as well. That's the other downside of it. Also, clearly...
You can use it to fight giant beasts, but it also attracts them. It's like, not
clearly,
great.
The girl with the cat on her head, she manipulates everything in this episode as well. She essentially gets them recaptured in order...
We also find out stuff about thing where the woman who runs the bar is like, oh, a chapeau. I haven't seen one of your kind here for a long time. And in the opening, there's a bunch of exactly the same girls wearing different hats on their heads.
Yes, and she's described as a cat. She's described as a cat chapeau at one point as well.
Yes, because she's wearing a cat in her head rather than a rabbit or something else. Yeah.
Which I'm hoping that they're a race of sentient hats.
That would be so fucking good. Because there's definitely some kind of rabbit people and some other kind of beast people in the opening. There was a beast guy in the bar in this one, but they didn't really make a big deal of it. So yeah, there's some weirdness going on that we still don't know, but it's fun. And this chapeau is definitely manipulating stuff. She's trying to convince the cleric that that I'm trying to, like, basically while your man's knocked out, it's like, oh, he kissed you on the forehead and then said that line. That means he's proposed to you and he wants to marry you, and that's what wakes him out of his unconsciousness. It's like, I did not fucking propose. That's an official paladin thing. There's nothing romantic there.
Twisting my words.
Yeah, she nicks his spear essentially because he wants nothing to do with the cleric after this, and then he's like, she's like, oh dear, he left this behind. And let's go into town. We'll get captured. I'll knock you out by hitting you on the head with the spear. She's tied the spear to herself, so when he tries to summon the spear back to him,
he's like, summon the spear, and it just floats inside the prison cell, like, and it can't get through the wall. And he's like, what the fuck? Is it stuck in a tree or something? Where the fuck is my...
Turn sideways, damn it, turn sideways.
Yeah. He's like it's pretty funny, like, the magic. So he goes to her wagon that initially he woke up and is like, okay, they're not here. It's like, have you seen, like, a little cat girl? Yeah, they got arrested by the cops. He's like, fucking son of a bitch. To the bar woman, who's also kind of manipulating things, or at least keeping the plot moving. I appreciate about her.
Yeah, it's quite funny. You've got the antagonists and protagonists who've got their own motivations, but they don't seem to be the ones yet who are in charge of the actual plot.
No, not at all. So he busts in, he sneaks into the boat where they're about to ship her out. He kind of, like, opens the door after knocking out a bunch of guards, like, grabs his spear, cuts the little tie that he has to her, and it's like, kind of walks off without them. And he's like, are you fucking coming or not? Kind of thing. It's like, I'm not really here to rescue you. I'm here to get my magic spear. It's not about you
Yeah.
guys. I'm not here to rescue you.
But by
I'm
the
not
end,
an honorable paladin.
they're all on his airship, and
Well, they're all on the run from the cops now.
Yes,
So, like,
yeah.
it's like, what, as the chapeau points out, it's like, hey, you're on the run with us, so you might as well stick with us. And he's like, I didn't want to be a criminal on the run. This sucks. Also, she keeps trying to, like, take parts off of his little airship hovercraft thing.
yes, because she's like, we don't need this. She starts kicking this massive part of his ship.
It's like, I'm pretty sure that's a flap that does something. It's too big to be, like, extraneous on it. Like,
That's a fire extinguisher. We need that for things to go on fire. That'll never happen.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because it's like it's fantasy things you recognize, but like given
Yes.
a tiniest little bit of a twist to make them different. I guess a cleric's merging with a paladin is a pretty big thing. I was like,
Yeah.
if I
Well,
was
they're
still,
escaping on his
if I was still
they're
running
escaping on his
D&D,
big
I'd
hovercraft.
nick it. Yeah, I'd nick that stuff.
Oh, for sure. There's
straight
loads
away.
of stealable ideas for this
Yeah.
and for your own home game. But I like the thing of when they're escaping on his hovercraft and the big battleship hovercraft is chasing him. He's like, okay, we're gonna jump over there and I'm gonna attack him. And she's like, you're not gonna kill everyone on the boat. He's like, no, I'm just gonna like make my spear into a giant spear, poke a hole in their boat, it'll sink, and then we can get away. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. I think they have life rest. That's probably fine. They do.
Yeah.
So
I don't think we check in on that general, do we, this episode, who was mad at the masked women last episode for telling her to go and invade a country.
yeah. She's storming through the promenades in the opening as well. It's like, is that all that character does?
Yeah,
It's like, I hate following orders.
And the
complaining
opening
about it.
seems to suggest we've got some sort of one of those beast men who's a swordsman and a rabbit lady who's a
into
thief,
money by the look of it. Yeah,
of some kind.
it's pretty fun. Yeah.
Good old fashioned fantasy adventure. They're going to form a party, whether they like it or not. It will be funny if those other two characters get manipulated by the chapeau as well. And the torrent of cat puns just continue with.
Like sometimes she just says meow at the end of a sentence, but sometimes she says it in a way that makes sense if she's saying the word now at the end of a sentence, so it still works. Yeah.
I'm going to meowder you.
Yeah, that would fit into it.
Don't
easily.
forget.
Yes.
Like, that kind of thing.
She
is
calls
like,
somebody a pervert at some point. As well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we got Buddy
job
Daddy.
translation.
Buddy Daddies, episode 2, The Kiss of Death. Because for me, because of this show, because I can't stand any of these characters.
Here's the problem I was having with this, right? I've watched Spy Family, okay?
Yes.
And Anya is like this precocious little child. She's fucking adorable, but also she's like a child, a selfish little prick who does not understand the way the world works. And that's great because it's a kid and you appreciate her and she's great and she's adorable, but she's also like selfish and all that thing. This child is too perfect and angelic, and also Anya's parents don't know it, but they love her and being in a family. Whereas these guys are like, we gotta find the mother of this fucking thing and get rid of her as soon as possible. They act the opposite way. Also, they do a lot more murders, which is weird considering yours in the other show.
Again, it's very mean.
Yeah.
It's very mean. Again, because it's just like it's a shame black anime. That's what it is. I swear on that. It's the child as well. Mirai, she's also like 4 years old. I think when younger than Anya is. So she's kind of running around. It's just like, oh, we're playing hide and seek. Just kind of runs around the house, it's just giggling and screaming, but chase me. Particularly when, we're trying to get into the Mafia Don's villa, which is this private security guard, and we're kind of running around the house and like guns are going off and they gotta try and not get everybody killed. And they were told to keep a low profile, but it's incapable of doing so.
Yeah, the one bit I did enjoy was the more murdery of the two of them was kind of like, we should have done this from the get-go when the plans go wrong, and he's just walking towards the mansion gunning people down.
Well, yeah.
And your man's running with the child under one arm and then has to grab him on the other arm, and he's still shooting people back in the mansion. And I was just like, that's pretty funny as a visual, but like the rest of it's just so mean-spirited.
Yeah, and it's well made. Yeah, I think the other thing is, compared to Anya, and this is ignoring the psychic stuff, is that this child in this has no internal life. It's
Exactly. It feels like you've made cute child not a character who is capable of being cute.
yes, it's just
No, she's a prop. She's a setup for
Yeah.
a bit.
yes.
But say
Exactly.
one is like there's like assassin, like mafia, like gunfight. Wouldn't it be like a lot more like I don't know, crazy and dangerous if it's a child involved as well? Child endangerment. That's what makes good kind of cartoons, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just a source of stimulus for the other characters. And we also we also meet their go-to guy who gets them information and contracts. Who's not happy that the fact that things keep.
Well, we met him last time because he
Yes.
did the whole thing where he
We get
impersonated
more
like
of him in this one.
the last time his wife over the phone and saying, "Let them fucking in, goddammit, it's my party," and just like he was doing a voice changer.
Because in this one, he has to like he can't say we stole a child from the last target. It was his daughter. Can you help us track down the mother? It's like, I think that guy might have had a kid. Was that in your information package? Because I feel a bit like wrong about that. Could you look into that for me? And it's like very badly getting that across. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll look into it. Yeah, apparently, she has a mother. This is her name. He had a kid with an extramarital affair with this woman, and it's like, we have her fucking name now, so we can give this child back and get back to our bachelor murder life.
We've had to bring in the serious, no nonsense hitman who will like clean up all the messes. You know, he's absolutely zero crack at all.
Well, no, I got the impression that was not what he is. What he is a serial killer.
I think he's a murderer. He's
found an ideal job as a hitman.
Because his disappointment is like, hey, what? This is your next thing you're going to say is your last words before I kill you. It's like, I'll pay you anything. Please don't kill me. He's like, boring.
That's it.
Shoots. It's just like, when is someone going to tell me some cool last words? That seems to be his weird
collecting
concern.
people's last words is the thing. Is his motivation?
Yeah. Because your man doesn't seem to be their handler doesn't seem to be too happy to be dealing with him. It's like, not that prick in town. All right, okay.
He does good work though, so wow.
You can't argue with results. He does murder the people a little quieter, so that's nice.
Yeah. Anyway, that's me done for Buddy Daddies. You're out of my life.
Yeah.
Kicking them to the curb.
It's not a bad show, but it's just like I'm making comparisons to like much better things that I assume it got greenlit on, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I suspect the odd couple that's going to develop in High Card is probably going to be more fun.
Yeah.
That's if I checked back in if there's some kind of cool stunt, because I could still do that.
Sure.
That's what I'm kind of looking for out of not actually. I need fuel. But High Card satisfied that a bit better in just its opening one. So, you know. But there could be a very hilarious bloodbath in Buddy Daddies yet, and I'll keep an eye out for it when it happens.
I mean, like the sound of a child screaming in excitement because she thinks you're playing a game while a bunch of people get fucking murdered. Is just like not really doing it for me. No.
No, not in the same way Akiba Maid was.
That was leaning into the the fun of it a lot more.
Also, the other thing is, there's yet another show started this week that I want to watch.
Yeah.
The Fire Keeper.
Yeah, the Fire Hunter.
Hunter.
So there we go. Something's got to go. Probably So let me. What am I getting rid of? So it will be for me next week. It's going to be JoJo's, Lupin, Iruma. I'm not going to hop on Stampede. I'm just not going to have the time. Vinland, High Card, Frolic and Friends, Giant Beasts of Arse. That's 7. It'll be 8 if I had the Fire Hunter. And it'll be 9 when Bungo Stray Dogs gets back on the card.
Yeah, that's rough.
But Lupin will be finished by then, probably. There's only 3 more
the timing.
So it's 6 bits of it,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not too bad. Not great. I've also got to start watching Eurosite Zero episodes. I did that as well.
I'll watch Robocall when the kindness of the people translating on the internet, when they're able to, like, fucking, I get it. Like,
also, that don't take too long. 5 minutes.
It's
not even
exactly.
That. It's 3 minutes. 2 minutes to download the file. 3 minutes to watch it.
Yeah.
Come on, maybe get the Molcar speed where it's like 2.5 minutes. That's quick.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, Kadama Kawashiri did it in Yeah,
God,
2.5
yeah, that
minutes,
was
2.5
more
minutes as well.
That was more
More
opening than
opening and
anime.
then 1 minute per actual thing, with credits
Mhm.
rolling over one half of it as well.
Yeah.
Efficiency.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's a life hack.
I did watch the first 10 episode of Euroscience.
Okay.
It's pretty good 10. I think I prefer the original 10. It had some gags that were too hot for TV back in the 80s that they put into this episode.
Okay.
Because
He swears.
they did the introduction one, and then the second part was they went straight to the one where Ten goes on a date with Sakura, guided by Ataru's "These are the places to take her to," which are all far too unsuitable for a baby to take a woman on a date.
Mm.
So they end up
Very smart baby, though.
Yes, but they end up in a porn cinema, and the gag is that you hear the dialogue, and it sounds something sexual, and then the dialogue finishes, and it cuts to the screen, and it's something non-sexual. It's like repeated, and apparently that did not make the original adaptation of this strip, and they are pretty good gags. Which reminds me, I should probably buy more volumes of the manga on digital. But there you go. Also, Polar Bear Cafe is coming out at the end of the month. I hadn't realised that was coming out as a comic.
Oh, okay.
That's a lot of Polar Bear Cafe.
That is, yeah. I think there is a lot of Polar Bear Cafe.
Well, there's a lot of Polar Bear Cafe on the TV series alone, so
Yes.
I imagine there's probably like fucking like fucking a massive amount then of books.
So I think maybe I don't know when Sugar Achiba shows up. I know the latest thing is the actor for Toby Maru, so I assume probably that might be next week, and Ryusuke and Sugar Achiba this week. In which case I might watch that as well this week.
Well, he was killed off in High Card, so he's freed up now to go to Urusei full time.
That's it. There is no more.
Enough.
Back next week